Okay. Okay. Um, we'll be talking a little bit on model verbs today. Okay. So last week we discussed a bit on articles. So all of those things you'll have to keep revising until you are going to your final exams. Meanwhile, we'll continue discussing on the rest of the topics that we had in the modules. Today we are going to take up model verbs. Okay. So we'll have a brief discussion on them for English 1, that is for your course. You do not have too many of this to work on. That's it. You need to at this point only familiarize yourself with the basic meanings as well as the preliminary functions of all these models. Okay. We are not going to go into detail or we're not going to be discussing all the aspects of them as of now. We're only going to be looking at what model words mean, what they are, what is their structure in a sentence, what are the different functions that they perform, what kind of grammatical as well as pragmatic functions do model verbs have in the English language, especially in the conversational language as of now. Right? So, for your course, we do not have too much of writing um, to work on or even to study or look into, right? So we keep it mostly, the discussions would mostly be around the conversational language as of now, right? Uh, so let's begin with this. Can you tell me what model verbs are? What do we understand by? At least to draw a difference between what we know as verbs in your traditional sentences, right? Like if I have a sentence like I read a book, right? What is the verb here? I read a book.
Read is the verb, ma'am.
Read is the verb, right? Now, if I have to use a model verb in this sentence, how can I change
Your
the
voice is
sentence
not clear,
into?
ma'am.
You can't hear?
Not clear, ma'am.
Is that the case for everyone? Yes, I have enough network here. Can anybody? Okay. Okay. Do all of you have a problem?
Now, okay, ma'am.
No, it's okay. Okay. Sometimes, as I'm connected through a mobile, sometimes it may happen, but in case you cannot hear properly, you just let me know. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure. It's clear now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, the sentence that we were looking at, which is I can, sorry, what was that? I read a book, right? So, in case I have to change this into a sentence with a model verb, then what can I do?
Ma'am, can we add do does in this way, ma'am? Do.
You can add if you want, but then our point is to make a sentence which has a model verb, right? So, in case that's the task, then what you do? This is your sentence. I read a book, right? It's there in your chat. This is our sentence. Now, I want you to add a model verb to it, right? This is just to check if you understand what model verbs are. We'll talk about them for sure, but then, to start off the class, can I say I uh, can read a book? Is this grammatically correct? If I write a sentence like this, I can read a book,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Right. And now, what is this read here now? Has anything happened to it?
This is the
It's still the
ability.
verb. Uh-huh. Correct. So from I read a book, which was a simple action sentence, right, which had read as its verb. Now you have changed the sentence into a sentence that shows ability to do something, right? So you have added or you have given an additional expression to the existing sentence. And this is exactly what all the model verbs do, right? The function of a model verb is precisely this, that is to add modalities, or rather to help you express your feelings towards something, right? So for that, you have different modalities, like ability is one modality, possibility is another modality, right? Um, what else? Formal permissions are another modality, like politeness is another modality, or yeah, so all of those things would constitute what we call as expressive language, and model verbs help you a lot in making your languages expressive, right? Or rather, in more formal terms, you can say it helps you express modalities such as ability, possibility, right? Disagreement, refusal, apology, request. All of this becomes a part of the model verbs, right? This is basically the function or um, the basic function or the basic linguistic function of model verbs in English language would be this, right? In our languages, do we have model verbs? There could be, there could not be. Some of the languages may have distinct model verbs, or some of the languages will have their own inherent, verb endings or inflectional changes that denote these expressions, right? So that is language specific. It depends whether a language has a model verb or not. English has distinct model verbs, which do the function of making your languages expressive, help you express modalities, right? How many of them do you have? Or rather than knowing the number, can we name a few of them? So can is one, like I uh, mentioned in the sentence here. What are the other model verbs? Can we talk about them? Can,
Ma'am,
then,
is can, could, may, might, shall, should,
yes.
will, would.
It is can, could, then you have will and would, you have shall and should, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What else? Shall, should,
May,
may,
might.
might. Yeah. There's one more. What is it? Must, right? Must is the one.
Yes.
So can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must, right? These are the 9 core model auxiliaries that you have in English language, right? There are more model verbs, which are also known as semi-modal verbs. You might have heard, expressions like these. Is going to, okay, or have to, sorry, not have to, okay, have to, or need to, right? Suppose to, right? Or ought to. What are these? These are all model verbs, right? Or what we call as semi-model verbs, right? But these are not the ones that we're going to discuss here. We're not going to take them up much here. Our focus is going to be mostly on these 9 core auxiliaries that we have here, which are can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. Okay. So these are the ones that we are going to be discussing mostly on. Okay. So this is like a quick introduction. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about, how do they appear in a sentence, what structure they can take, so on and so forth, right? When you talk about the model verbs, structurally, the most important aspect that you need to know about them is the absence of tense, right? That is, no model verbs carry tense with them, which is also to tell you that can and could are not the present and the past counterparts of each other. Although, in the traditional understanding of model verbs, everywhere, right from your school to your college and everywhere, probably you are taught this way that could is the past tense for can, or should is the past tense for shall, or might is the past tense for may, and would as the past tense for will, right? So you need to move away from this understanding. You need to take yourself away from this understanding that they are the past and the present counterparts of each other. Then what are they? They are all individual model verbs, by which I mean they all have their own meaning. Right? They have their individual meaning. They are not past or the present forms of each other. Can is expressive of a particular meaning. Could has another expressive meaning. May and might differently have their own meanings. Like same goes for shall and should, same goes for will and would. So they're not past and present counterparts of each other. Why is this so? This is because modal verbs inherently by themselves do not carry the tense in the sentence, right? Now, you can ask me, but see, in a sentence like this, say, look at this example. I could swim when I was 6, right? This is in your chat box. Just look at that. Read that sentence. I could swim when I was 6. Now, in what tense is this sentence?
Past, ma'am.
How do you know? What gives you the idea that this sentence is in past tense? I could
The
swim when
word
I was 6.
was.
Yes. Okay, so this is a very important information. If the sentence was just I could, I could swim, right? Which is the next sentence that I written. You can look at your chat box again. I could swim when I was 6. I could swim, right? Grammatically and meaning wise, these are very different sentences, right? The second sentence is not a past tense sentence. Like if somebody asks you, I could swim versus I can swim, please don't tell them that I could swim is a sentence in the past tense, right? But the sentence I could swim when I was 6 is a past tense sentence, right? The tense of that sentence will be past tense. Because you have the past tense marker wasn't. The tense of that sentence, the first sentence that I have written here, that comes from the word was and not from could. Could is still a modal verb here, showing you the what expression? What does could help you to talk about? Can is ability and could will show you what?
Ability to
Possibility.
swim, ma'am.
Right? Possibility. It's called general possibility, right? So could has the capacity of the function of the model of could is to express possibility. Like can shows ability, could shows possibility, right? So in both of the sentence, there are elements of possibility. However, the second sentence is just a modality sentence showing you possibility of someone's possibility to swim. I could swim, right? But the first sentence, I could swim when I was 6. It's also giving a specific time period that's in the past when the person was 6. So the takeaway point here is that your modal verbs do not carry tense with them. Okay? Although a lot of popular um, texts as well as teachers online, offline would have taught you in schools and colleges that way. Inherently, grammatically, the modal verbs don't carry any tense to them. Okay? Their function is to only express the modalities like possibility, ability, right, certainty, so on and so forth. Okay? So keep this distinction in mind. The first structural understanding you need to have about, or the grammatical understanding that you need to have about the modal verbs is that they're tenseless. They don't have any tense. Okay. All right. Now, second thing, you can use modal verbs in question sentences. You can use them in positive sentences. You can use them in negative sentences, right? Which is why all the modal verbs will also have a negative counterpart. So, like can, what is the negative for can?
Cannot.
Cannot, or rather can't, right? If I have could, then what do I have?
Couldn't. Could not.
Could. Right? So, yeah, could not or couldn't, right? So could not is not like a a common usage. What you usually use is can't, couldn't, right? Modal verbs are used in contracted forms, okay? In short forms. So this is another feature of the modal verbs. They're always used in the short forms like can't, couldn't. Let's look at more of them. What would be the negative for will? Negative counterpart for will would be
Would not.
won't.
Won't.
Won't, no, not would not. That is, would is a separate modal verb. So would's counterpart would be then wouldn't, right? So will is won't, would is wouldn't, shall is what?
Shouldn't, ma'am.
Shall, shall. That is for sure. Shall is shan't, right? Shan't. Should would be, you can look at your chat box in case you're not looking at it already, right? And should would be, like you mentioned, it would be shouldn't, right? Next would be may. Does may have a negative counterpart? You don't say mayn't, you say may not, right? Similarly, if you have might and you don't say mightn't, you say might not. So they have negative counterparts, but then they don't have short forms. All the other forms have, all the other model verbs have, can, could, will, would, shall, should, all of them have. But may and might don't have a short form for their negative counterpart. They have a negative counterpart, which may be used as may not or might not, but they don't have a short form for that. Okay. Now there's one more, which is must, and must is going to be the negative counterpart is going to be mustn't, right? So must and an apostrophe T, mustn't, right? Whenever you're using the negative, the model verb in its negative form, please use this short forms. Okay, don't write could not and cannot, and try and avoid doing that, particularly in speech. If you're doing that in the writing, it's still okay. But in speech, that is in conversational language, please ensure that you use the short forms, right? That's how the natural speech sounds like. If you don't say cannot and could not, usually it is can, shouldn't, won't, wouldn't, shan't, shouldn't, okay? So keep that in mind. And also may and might, remember, they don't have any short forms, okay, for the negative ones. So this is the
Ma'am,
second aspect of, yes,
ma'am, your voice is not very clear, ma'am. It means we
uh,
can just barely hear your voice.
really, but everything is, how about now? The volume was a little low, but that shouldn't have been a problem. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am, but while you are speaking, if you speak a bit fast, it we cannot find the difference between the two
Yeah,
words, ma'am.
today, we don't have, there's a little bit of a problem with the sound in here. Please try and adjust for today. Uh, this is a short lesson. It shouldn't be too much of a trouble. I don't have a earphone that supports the system. So let's
Okay.
see. Okay, somebody is saying it's clear. Okay. Uh, all right. Okay, so yeah, so this one was for the form, right? The first thing that we looked at was for the grammatical aspects or the structure. And the second thing we discussed is related to the form of the model, that is the negative form, right? So two things. One was about them not having tense. Second thing was about them always being used in the them having negative forms and those negative forms being used in the short form in the speech, right? In writing, you can expand them, but in speech, you definitely use only the shorter version, right? These are the two things. And you can definitely make an interrogative question with the model verb. You can also make both negative and positive sentences with your model. Okay. Now, these are the basic things. Now, let's, if that part is clear to you, the next thing that, yeah, Muhammad, you have a question? Auxiliary verb is a helping verb. So this modal verb is also an auxiliary verb. So in some literature, some textbooks, you will see the word modal auxiliaries instead of modal verbs. Okay, so they act very much like the other auxiliary verbs like is, are, am, was, all the be forms and has, had, have, or do, does, did, right? They behave very similarly in the sense that they help the main verb, except that modal verbs don't carry any tense, but all the other auxiliary verbs are they have tense. They will change their forms according to the change in the tense, but modal verbs do. Right? That's not definition per se. It is just a concept by which you mean helping verb. That's all. Okay, something that helps the verb to perform certain functions in the sentence, and that can vary for different verbs. Like has, had, have usually are the ones which helps you show the perfected form. Do, does, did will help you in sentences which carry negation to put the tense out of the sentence. So there are many. Depending on the function that they have to perform, you have different kinds of auxiliary verbs. Okay, or helping verbs. Okay. Yeah, so now next thing about what do each of these, what do each of these modal verbs mean and what are their functions, right? So, in the sense, what modalities do they talk to you about? What expressions, what meanings do they carry when they are found in a sentence, right? So, we're going to talk more about the meaning aspect. Before that, I would like to tell you one thing about the nature of the modal verbs. Each of these model verbs that we have discussed, right, the ones that you have in the chat, 9 of them, which are the core model auxiliaries, they all have a preliminary meaning or a preliminary function that they help you perform in a sentence. And then they have additional or secondary functions also, right? So what do I mean by that? I'll give you a few examples and make you understand what I meant by that, right? So look at these sentences that you have in the chat. Okay. First one is I can swim. Second one is it can't be a fever. Don't mind with the punctuations, not important as of now. You concentrate on the concept at the moment. Third sentence, can I leave by uh, 5 p.m.? Then, can I drop you home?
Ma'am,
Then, yes.
ma'am, could you please could you please zoom this worksheet, ma'am, so that we can get a clear
No,
view?
we are not working on. We are not working on the worksheet as of now. We are only explaining. Once we get to the worksheet, I'll zoom it for you. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Poison, and the last sentence in this category would be poison can harm you. Okay, can you look at all those sentences that you have here? I can swim. It can be a fever. Can I leave by 5 p.m.? Can I drop you home? Poison can harm you. Right? All of those sentences that you have here, all the 5 of them, what do they have? They carry the modal verb can. Right? Now, look at each of those sentences and tell me if all of them mean the same. Not in the sense of the term, but does the verb can in each of them mean the same? Tell me what does the sentence I can swim tell you? What is the meaning of the sentence? Or how is can used in the sentence I can swim?
Ma'am, here can
Anybody?
represents the ability. Can represent the ability that he can swim, ma'am.
Correct.
Ability of
So
swimming.
can here shows ability of the person to swim. Correct. How about the second? Can is used in the negative form here, but still, right? Negative doesn't make much of a difference except for the fact that you negate the model word. The overall meaning doesn't change. It can't be a fever. What's the meaning that is exhibited here? Anybody?
Ma'am, which means a fever might not be there, ma'am. Fever or something which represents
Fever.
positive sense. Positive sense they are representing, ma'am.
No. If you're not reading beyond the sentence, just if you stick with the sentence, what would be the meaning? Anybody other than others can also respond. You don't have to be just listeners to this. It can't be a fever. So there's a sense of surety there, right? Someone saying, say, no, 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 it can't be a fever. No, it can be a cat. So it also means that the person speaking is sure that something is not the thing that is mentioned. In this case, fever. It can't be a fever. Or another way of saying it is definitely not a fever. Right? So that is the sense here. Surety, certainty. Okay? So in this case, can is giving you the expression of certainty. The first case, it was of ability. Look at the third sentence now. Can I leave by 5 p.m.? Can I leave by 5 p.m.? What is this? What is can doing here?
A positive ability, ma'am.
There's no positive ability here. It's seeking, someone seeking permission that can I leave by 5 p.m.? You're asking permission to someone. Can I leave by 5 p.m.? Right?
Ma'am, is the sentence could I leave? you by 5 p.m. Is it correct, ma'am?
No, no, you forget. Could you please keep aside for a moment? We'll first finish off the discussion on can and then get to whether food is possible or not. Okay. So can I leave by 5 p.m. is basically a sentence that is based on permission. Like someone's asking permission to something, right? Now the fourth sentence, can I drop you home? Can I drop you home? What kind of meaning does it give you? The person is making an offer. You're, telling somebody that, I can help you. And making an offer to someone to drop them home, right? So making an offer. Third one was seeking permission. Fourth one was making an offer, right? Now look at the last one. Poison can harm you. Fifth sentence. Poison can harm you. What does that mean? Vineet, if you're trying to speak, we can't hear you, but please mute yourself. Yeah. Okay, poison can harm you. The sentence can is showing
Ma'am,
you general possibility, right? That we don't know, we are not for sure whether this would happen or not, but we are giving you a general possibility. Poison can harm you, right? There is a possibility, a general possibility that the poison can harm you, right? So in each of these different sentences, we have five of them here, right? We have used can in all of these sentences, but can took a different meaning in each of the five sentences. Do you agree or not?
yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what am I trying to tell you is that model verbs, most of them, and particularly can probably is the one which has the most number of meanings, most number of different meanings. But this is the case for the other auxiliary model verbs too, other model verbs too. That they all have more than one meaning, right? They have one core meaning or what we call as the preliminary meaning, and they have other secondary meanings as well. Like you see in the case of can. Here can have at least five different meanings in four different meanings in addition to its basic inherent primary meaning, which is to show ability, right? So similarly, all the other modal verbs also have more than one meaning. But one meaning is very, very preliminary to them. One is the main or the major meaning that they have to show. In case of can, it is ability, right? In case of could, what that would be?
Possibility, ma'am.
Could, possibility, right? Could shows you possibility. Can has to show you ability. Could has to show you possibility. How about the others? What about will? What does will show you? Now, will is again, you need to keep in mind this will is not similar to your past tense marker will, right? I will write a poem tomorrow, right? This is not the, this will is different from that tense marker. This is the model verb will. So when will is used as a model verb, it does not show future time. Instead, what does it do? It shows you intention, right? Intention to do something. I will finish this work. Basically means you have the intention to finish this work. You will do it. You have an intent to complete it. Okay. Additionally, will in its primary meaning can also include what we call as promise or threat. Okay. Look at this. Threat. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be threat. Okay. Promise and threat. So I will buy you a shawl when I return from Kashmir. I'll buy you a Pashmina shawl when I return from Kashmir. What is this? You're making a promise to somebody, right? I will buy you one. Okay. Threat, threat. I will dismiss you if you misbehave in the college campus, right? So all the three things, although you can say promise and threat are in some sense, uh, a sub meaning, but let's say we take all the three as the preliminary function for the model verb will. So like can shows ability, could shows possibility, or ability and possibility becomes the primary meaning for can and could in a sentence. For will, it will be to show intention or to show promise or to show threat. Okay, is that understood? Any question? All right. Okay. Now,
Ma'am,
next
the
is
third you have
would.
written, ma'am. After promise, that is also applicable, na? Thought, na? What?
Yeah.
THRWAT.
No. I just told there is a typo. I meant threat. I've corrected that. It's down there in the chat. It's not threat. It's threat. Intention,
Okay.
promise, and threat. Right. The last sentence that I spoke was of threat. I will dismiss you. You do not behave in the college properly. Right. Okay. Now, would. Would is what? This is something that shows you. Usually, this particular model verb is used when you want to show hypothetical, or in other words, unreal or imaginary situations. Okay. If you want to show hypothetical means unreal, okay, or imaginary as it is called, right? So if you want to show unreal or hypothetical imaginary situation, then you use would. Okay. So look at sentences like, if I were a bird, okay, or if I were the president of the company, I would have enacted a policy for a 4-day work week, right? So this is what you're not actually the president, right? You're just imagining. This is an imaginary hypothetical situation. You're saying in case that was the case, right? Uh, for example, or say for a case in point, in case if you were the president, you would have enacted that policy, right? That's what you mean. You are not in real that person, but in case you were given a chance, or in case hypothetically if you were presented in such a situation, this is what you have. So would is the model verb that you usually use when you want to present a hypothetical or an imaginary situation to someone. Okay, that is its primary function. Hmm. Now, next one is shall. Shall is something that is very um, sparingly used in the modern day English. It had a lot of importance in the uh, English that I won't say the old English, modern English, but not from the recent times. Especially in the legal field, the word shall had a lot of use. Okay. The petitioner shall pay a fine of dash amount towards the state as a punishment. So this is a term that was used increasingly in the legal documents. But these days, most of the work that shall was doing is now replaced with the word will. So in that sense, it has become a little old-fashioned and we don't use it as such. But there are still places where we use shall, like particularly when you're seeking permission from someone. Okay, shall we meet tomorrow? Okay, or we will meet tomorrow, shall we? Right? So usually in situations like this, when you have to seek permission, we still use the word shall, right? So it is now mostly used in a context where you seek permission. Initially, we used to use them in the legal context, and its function was very similar to that of will. But these days, most of those places are now taken up by will. Okay, so that's the function of shall. Now, the next one is should. Should is usually used for advice or suggestion. When you have to make suggestion to someone, right? Or you want to give an advice to somebody, okay? Then you use should, right? You should study at least for an hour every day, right? This is an advice. Or it can also double as a suggestion given the context, right? Uh, so this is very good and good. Yeah, next is may. May and might are special in the sense both may and might are used to show possibility. Both will show possibility, but this possibility is different from the possibility that could shows. Could gives you a general possibility of anything, right? But may and might, their method of showing you possibility is a little different. So if you use may, then may gives you a higher possibility of something to happen, whereas might shows you a very, very lower possibility of anything to happen. Right? So if I say, for example, it may rain today. So I am basically saying, if I have to talk about it in a little more numerical sense, I am saying there's a 50-50 possibility that it would rain. There's a higher chance that it's going to rain today, right? Definitely, it's another way of saying that, see, there's a very high chance that it would rain today, right? But when I say might, it might rain today. What am I saying? That looks like it, but the chances are very low. There's a very low chance of the rain to happen today, right? So this is the difference between may and might. Both of them show possibility, but may shows you what? Higher possibility of something to happen, right? Likeliness, right? Likeliness of something to happen, right? So that is may. And might shows you low or lower possibility or unlikeliness of something to happen, right? Now this is different from could, which shows you a general possibility. It neither tells you whether something is high or low. It just gives you a general sense of a possibility of something to happen. But may particularly shows you higher possibility and might particularly shows you a very feeble chance, a very, very low possibility of something to happen. That's the difference between the primary meaning for using may and might will be that, right? Next would be the last one, which is must. Must is used for what? Obligation and necessity, right? Obligation, when you have to show obligation, or what is also called as necessity for something, you use must. You must finish your work today, right? What is this? Necessity. Okay. You must drive, uh, you must not drive above 120 kilometers per hour on the road, on expressways. Right? So what are we trying to say? Rule and law. So must can be seen in sentences which are used in laws and rules, right? So the rules, laws, etc. Sentences which look like rules and laws will use a lot of must, right? So that shows what? Obligation. You're obligated to drive only at 120 kilometers per hour if you're on an expressway. Okay? Nothing more is allowed, right? Necessity, you must finish this work by today. This is necessity. Right? You have no more time. By today is your last chance. You must finish it today. Necessity and obligation, right? Obligation, you can find different categories within that. Something like, for example, obeying a rule like this, right? You must not drive uh, on at more than 120 kilometers per hour. This is more like a legal obligation. That is, if you're not going to do it, then it's going to attract a fine or penalty or something, right? But you must um, something like um, you must not play uh, loud music in your flat. This is more like a social obligation. Now, there's no law against it. Right? You can maybe file a complaint, but there is no specific law to prosecute you against that. But when people write down things like no loud music, please, or you must not play loud music, this is more like expecting a social obligation from you. That's why there are people living here, you please do not play loud music, right? But it is not a law or a rule. The other one was more of a legal obligation. So put together, both are obligations, and whenever you have to talk about obligation in a sentence, the model verb that you're going to use is must. Okay, understood? Any questions?
Ma'am,
Yeah,
ma'am, difference between can and may, ma'am.
can and yeah, can is used to show ability, may shows possibility, higher possibility. So see, remember, all of them, like I told you, they have more than one meaning. What we are discussing is only the primary meaning of all of them. For example, may can also be used to make offer, right? May I drop you? Or seek permission again, may I come in? So they all have meanings that overlap and they can have more than one meanings. This I already clarified. But what we are discussing right now are the primary meanings. So the moment somebody asks you what does can do in a sentence, you should be able to say it shows ability. Or somebody asks you what does may do in a sentence, you should be able to say it shows higher possibility, right? So we are only discussing the major or the primary meanings of each of them. They definitely have other meanings. Like we discussed in case of can, no? We got at least 4 different meanings other than ability. Same thing exists for others as well. In addition to that, you know, words like could, would, may, all of them can also be used to increase the politeness factor in a sentence. Like you were asking, can I say I could? What was that? Could I forgot the sentence. Let's check. Could I drop you home? Or could I leave by 5 p.m., right? So again, this is the only difference in the use here is that you have made it a little more polite, right? In this case, when you're using could, you are not showing possibility. When I say, could I leave by 5 p.m., instead of can I leave by 5 p.m., I'm making it more polite. Okay. So could, would, may, should, all of them can also be used to improve or increase the politeness elements or politeness factors in your speech or writing. That's possible. But their primary meaning is what we have already discussed. Could shows
Ma'am,
possibility, would shows hypothetical and real situations, may shows higher possibilities, so on and so forth. Okay?
ma'am, so may is a much more polite word than can. Ma'am.
No, no, nothing like that. May, yeah, may is extremely formal way of doing something, but could should be enough in most of the contexts. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. For an example, if a student is getting into a class, so he should
Hmm.
he will be asking, "May I come in?" or "Should I come in?"
No, when you say should I come in, it has a different meaning. Should I come in is like more like, you know, you're trying to suggest something to somebody. Should I come in is a suggestion sentence, right? But
Okay,
uh,
ma'am.
may would be seeking permission.
Same way,
Okay.
the can also works, ma'am. Can I come in?
Yeah, can I come in is correct, but it's not polite. That's all. Difference is
Okay.
okay. So if that much is understood, this is more or less what you should know about model verbs, right? Model verbs for some of you, although you might have seen them, you're familiar with them. The uses may not be that familiar, or there could be some overlap or confusions in the way you have understood. So keep these basic things that we're discussing mind, and use your responses or respond to the questions in the exams or elsewhere or in your day-to-day conversations accordingly. Okay. In English, too, you will have a little more detailed, uh, you know, lecture or say lesson on model work where we're going to include all of those additional ones that we discussed, right? Go is going to, have to, need to, ought to, supposed to. All of those semi-model works we discussed next time. Okay, so let's quickly do this activity. I'll zoom it for you. Just give me a moment. Is this good enough?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, right? Yeah, should be fine. So do one thing. Please go through this. Um, don't look at the options for the time being. Please read through this uh, conversation that's given here. This one has just one of the semi-model is going to and was going to. Never mind. That's all right. Shouldn't be difficult. But first thing you should do is read through the whole of the conversation without bothering about the blanks, and then we'll get back and solve it. Okay, just 1 minute, read through all of it, uh, and then we'll start discussing. Okay, please quickly go through that. Okay, so we'll start looking at the blanks now one by one. Let's see this. It's 9:30 a.m. and Dave, a helpful friend, has just arrived at Sarah's flat. Sarah. Hi Dave, thanks for coming so quickly. Dave, no problem. Sarah. Dash you like a cup of tea or coffee? How would you fill the sentence up?
Would you, ma'am?
Yeah. How would you fill it up? Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? So now in this sentence, have we used would in its primary meaning or have we used it to show politeness? What does it do here? Is it acting as
Politeness.
a this is politeness, right? Clearly a case where you are trying to be polite to somebody, right? Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? So here it is not showing you its primary meaning of hypothetical or unreal or imaginary situation, right? Okay. There. Oh, no thanks. I've already had some. Sarah. I dashed phone you last night when it started, but then I realized it was after 11 o'clock. The first blank to be
I was
filled with.
I was going to phone you.
I was going to phone you last night when it started, but then I realized it was after 11 o'clock. Okay, so I was going to is your blank here. And you dash probably be in bed already. Now see here, if you look at the options given here, you have uh, two places where you can use the option won't, right? It says cross to it means that you can use it twice. And for would, you have one full would word, and you also have the apostrophe D, which also shows would. It's a short form, right? So that means you can use would also twice, one in its full form and one in its short form. What would be the blank here? It would be the apostrophe D. You would. Okay, you apostrophe D probably be in bed already. So I was going to phone you last night when it started, but then I realized it was after 11 o'clock and you apostrophe D, probably be in bed already. So that apostrophe D is would only. It's a short form of would. Okay. There. Right. But what's the problem? Sarah. It's the toilet. The water dash stopped running and I'm afraid we dashed with a huge water bill.
Ma'am,
Would
The
you,
fourth blank would be, sorry,
three number what, ma'am? Blank number three. Wooden, no? Blank number three,
not
ma'am.
three. Three we are done with. That is good, right? We are doing the fourth one. The water dash stopped running and I'm afraid we dash end up with a huge water bill.
The water won't stop running.
Correct. The water won't stop running, right? And I'm afraid the dash end up with a huge water bill.
ma'am?
We will.
Ah,
We
we
shall.
will, right? We, not shall, we will. Okay, shall I told you, we only use them in context where you have to seek permission, right? We don't use it elsewhere. So will, be ill. So the will is also given in short form apostrophe LL. So that's what you're going to use here. I'm afraid we will end up with a huge water bill. Okay. Now there. Well, let's take a look dash. See, let's take a look. Dash we
Shall we, ma'am?
shall we, right? Shall we? Now this is what? This is seeking permission. Let's take a look, shall we? Right, you're in somebody else's flat, right? So you're seeking permission to go inside and look at something. Well, let's take a look, shall we? Right? Uh, Sarah, oh, I hope it dash be a big problem. Why? Hope it dash be a big problem.
Won't be a big problem.
Won't, right? I hope it won't be a big problem. Okay. Now, Dave, oh, I dash worry if I were you. These old toilets sometimes just need a little help. So look at this one. What do you have here? Look at this sentence. Sorry, look at this phrase here. If I were you. So when I say if I have a construction like if I were you, then what am I basically trying to say? I'm trying to construct or I'm trying to create a hypothetical situation, an imaginary situation, right? If I were you, I can't be you. It's definitely going to be imaginary. So what is the model word used in such situation? Even without looking at the brackets, the
Would,
options here.
wouldn't,
Would,
I wouldn't
right?
worry. Yes.
In this case, you use wouldn't, right? Given the context. So, oh, I wouldn't worry if I were you. So what is basically the model verb you use here to show the imaginary hypothetical situation? In the given context, you have to use it in the negative form. So, wouldn't, right? Oh, I wouldn't worry if I were you. Okay. These old toilets sometimes just need a little help. But first, I dash show you how to shut off the water supply in case this ever happens again.
Ma'am, is the eighth dash done, ma'am?
Yeah, eighth one is done. The answer is wouldn't.
So the ninth one is going to.
Sorry?
In the ninth dash, ma'am. The option
Yeah, it's
is
the ninth one. That's what we are doing now.
going to.
But I was going to show you. No, not that one. That we already used now in one of the
I
examples.
will, I will show you.
I will, right? This one is going to be I will. I will show you how to shut off, but first I will show you how to shut off the water supply in case this ever happens again. Right? Was going to and will is going to be already used in the beginning, right? So I will show you how to shut off the water supply in case this ever happens again, right? So more than knowing will or would or shall, the important part is you understand when and where they are used, or more importantly, what is its primary meaning. If you know that, then it shouldn't be a problem anyway, right? So in the first case, when you use would, we know that we were not using it to show anything unreal or imaginary. There, like the first one, would you like a cup of tea or coffee? There it was to show politeness. But in the eighth blank, when you're using would, in this context, wouldn't because of the sentence that's given here, the context of the sentence. Here we are using would as a hypothetical one, right? Here the meaning intended is more of something that shows a hypothetical or an imaginary situation, right? So this distinction is what you need to understand while you use model verbs. Once you can do that, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay? All right. Okay, now little bit more on this. You have another 10 questions with each of them giving you the context along with them. So it shouldn't be difficult for you to answer these questions. Let's do this one as well so that we have a bit more of practice in this, right? So first question here. My grandmother is 85, but she dash still read and write without glasses. Now you have to choose a model verb that shows ability. And the options you have are can, could, may.
Can, ma'am, can.
She could.
Ability would be what? The best choice to show ability is always can, among other options. Right? Whenever it is ability, it has to be by default can. Unless, of course, an additional context for politeness is mentioned. Right? But in this case, this sentence doesn't demand any politeness from you. It's all good. My grandmother is 85, but she can still read and write without glasses. An ability. Right? Second one, dash I come with you. Can, will, would. Permission sentence. Which one is the best fit among can, will, could if it's a permission sentence?
Ma'am, will, ma'am. Will I come with you?
Permission. The permission sentence. No, so what will you use? Will I come with you is
Can,
not a
can, can I come with you?
can, right? Can I come with you? You're seeking permission, then this is the one. Make it more polite, could I come with you? Right? Third one. Dash you help me with the housework, please? Polite request. Could, will, should.
Could you?
could you, right? Could you help me with the housework, please? Request. In this case, we're using it to show request, and because it is polite request, you're using could. You could also say, can you help? But it would be just a plain request, not a polite request. Make it a polite request, you use could you help me with the housework, right? So request is then another modality which is applicable to the verb can. Fourth one, there was a time when I dash stay up very late. Ability would put can. Now here it says ability, but then what is also the case here? Tense of the sentence,
Past tense, ma'am.
past tense. So will you take can or could? You have to choose could, right? So could by itself cannot show you tense, but when the tense is already specified in the tenses, in the sentences past tense, then between can and could you use could. Okay. It still cannot show you time or give you a sense of tense in the sentence. That has to come from a different marker. And in this case, it is the word was. There was a time. This is the one giving tense to the sentence. However, if this is the case between can and could, you are going to choose could to fill up the blank here. Okay, but it in no way it means that could is the one that is giving tense to the sentence. The sentence gets its tense still from the word was. Okay, but in case the tense of the sentence is already decided that it is past tense, then your choice between can and could is going to be good. Okay, got this point? Yes, no?
Ma'am, I have a doubt. So
Yeah.
in the first example, we used can. So
Hmm.
you said that in general possibility cases, we can use could also. So in the
Yeah.
first example also, can we use the could?
In the
Because
first example of the sentence here, my grandmother is 85, the sentence.
yes,
No, this sentence does not give you a sense of possibility, right? My grandmother is 85, but she could still read and write. No, this is more of an ability statement. So you use can.
okay,
You
okay,
are saying what your grandmother could do at the age of 85. It's an ability.
okay, okay.
So a lot of the usage also comes from the context of the sentence it is, which is why looking at the sentence as a whole is important when you are filling up it with model verbs or when you're trying to use model verbs with it. Okay.
So will okay, so we choose could only when we are using it in a past tense sentence, or can we use it also in present tense and other tense?
No, it doesn't have tense. No, that's why you look at this example that we had in the chat, right? In the beginning, I could swim and I can swim. No tense in both of the sentence. One sentence shows you ability, the other shows you possible. In both of this, I can swim, I could swim, right?
Okay, so in
So
the
the
fourth
sentence,
case, in the the fourth sentence, it's also saying about ability, right?
the fourth sentence, we don't have
Yes.
is, we have a was, no? There was a time when I could stay up early.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So it
when we are
already is in the past tense.
okay, so when we are saying something in past, we always use could.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you should also keep in mind that could is not the one giving the tense in the sentence. It is the word was. It is its function
Okay.
to give the past tense. That's the past tense. But with
Okay.
the was in the sentence, we're going to keep it. Okay.
Okay.
Ah, right. The next one, fifth one would be you dash not lose any more weight. You are already slim. Now, this is a sentence that shows necessity. We did not discuss this one need because we don't have it for uh, our practice exercises, but it's good to look at this one as well, right? Could you try and guess what would be the answer here? This one is to show necessity. And the options you have are may, need, and should, right? You dash not lose any more.
You may not. You may not lose.
You may not lose any more weight. Okay. But if it is showing necessity, then will you use may or something else?
Should.
Necessity should, what was the use that should be used to
So
use?
must. For necessity,
We
we
don't
use
have
must.
much here.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so need. So need.
Yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. We use must for necessity, but we don't have here. So another semi-model that you can use to replace must to show necessity is need. Okay. So you need not lose anymore. Right? This also gives you a sense of necessity. Okay. We don't have that for your syllabus if I am not wrong, but uh, just take this as an additional information. Must is the general model verb that we use whenever we want to show necessity. But need not or need is also the other semi-modal verb that you can use to express necessity. Okay, just keep this in mind. Not important for you to know uh, from the exam point of view at this moment. But from the language point of view, please keep this in mind. Need is also something that you can use to show necessity, along with must. Okay. All right. The sixth one here, we dash make the first move. You have prohibition, must not, will not, cannot. Prohibition.
Must not
Do not.
make the first.
Must not.
Yeah, we must not make the first move. When you're prohibiting again, this is also kind of necessity. You can consider that as a subset of necessity. Prohibition is also there, right? So we must not make the first move, right? The seventh one, it is snowing outside, so I dash stay at home. Intention. Now, what did we learn? Intention is stored by which model? May, will, can.
Will, ma'am.
It is snowing outside, so yeah, will, right? So it is snowing outside, so I will stay at home. Intention, right? Eighth one. I dash get you a shawl from Kashmir. Promise. I think I already gave you this.
Will. I
Will. Right? I will. I will get you a shawl from Kashmir. Okay. Ninth one. Okay, this one is important. Dash you mind if I borrowed your car? Will, would, should.
Would. Would. Because it's a hypothetical situation.
Just a minute. Hold on. Transfer. I had already shared it all three. I'll reshare. I'll reshare. Yes, yes. Okay. You mean you need to drive? I'll share. I'll reshare. Okay, we'll continue. Yeah, this one. So what did you tell me for permission? Does
would,
you mind
ma'am.
if I borrowed your car?
Would will be used. Would.
Uh,
Because it's a
yes,
hypothetical situation. Yes.
it's not a. Yeah, okay. If I borrowed your car, no, it's not hypothetical. This is again, a different way of making in conversations. Now, here in this case, what you can do is you can say the answer has to be mostly. I think what I meant to do here was not this actually. The actual word that should have come here was do. Okay. Now that should.
Would you mind?
Yeah. Would you mind if I borrowed your car? Right? This has to be the case here. But can I also use do here? Do you mind if I borrowed your car?
Yes, ma'am. Can be used, ma'am.
Can I say do I mind? Do you mind if I borrowed your car?
Ma'am, but we can use do, but using would will be a much more polite manner.
Yeah, that you are right. Using what is the polite way of doing that, which is also the next question. But in case if I use do here, my question is, will it be grammatically right? When I say, do you mind if I borrow your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is, right? There is nothing grammatically wrong in that. I can say, do you mind if I borrow your car? The difference only is that the ninth one, when you use do, it's going to be an informal way, right? It's a less formal, not informal. Let's call this a less formal way of asking, seeking permission, right? But the next one would be what? This is a polite request. Oh, sorry. So if you're using would in the place of do, right, then what happens to this sentence? This becomes a little more formal, or what we call as the polite one, right? Polite way of asking something. Both do and would work. You can say, do you mind, or you can say, would you mind? But do you mind would be considered less formal version, right? Grammatically, both would be right. Got this? Okay. Now, 10th one here, dash to take care of my dog for a day.
Will, ma'am. Will you take care? Proposal.
Will you take polite request? So you're going to use what, will or would?
Would, ma'am.
Ah, would, right. Polite request, no? So would. Would you take care of my dog for a day? Right? So whenever this politeness context comes in, then usually from the choices that you have, usually you choose would or should or could, say, or may, right? They all are the model verbs which can add politeness element to your speech or writing both. Okay? 11th one. This one could be a little tricky. Please pay a little attention to this. I dashed swim when I was six. Ability. That's tricky. If you have understood those previous sentences, this shouldn't be a problem.
I could
Sentence shows
swim, ma'am.
ability. Ah, correct, right? So it's in the past tense. I was six. You're going to use could because that's the choice you have when the sentence is in past, right? Although could doesn't give the tense by itself. So I could swim when I was six, right? 12th one. This is the last one here. Uh, the model verb has to show weak possibility. She dash sell her home because she needs money. Weak possibility.
Might, ma'am. Might.
Might, right? So look at all the options you have. May, might, could. All of them show possibility, right? But since you're expected to choose the one which shows weak or weaker possibility, you choose might. She might sell her home because she needs money. Very, very less chance, right? Very weak chance of something like that happening. But
Ma'am,
that is expressed through the model verb might. Yeah.
ma'am, but using could will be a choice, ma'am. If we,
Could would be more, no,
it
could
will
shows
not
your
be a
general possibility.
okay,
No,
ma'am.
no, see, listen. Food cannot tell you what are the chances. It cannot tell you about the likeliness or unlikeliness of something, right? It just gives you a general possibility of something to happen, right? But may and might are more specific. May tells you that there's a very high chance, a very high possibility of something to happen. And might tells you no, no, there's a very, very less chance. There are very less chances, there are very low very low possibility for something of this needs to happen, right? So all of them show you the modality, the expression that they want to show you is of possibility, but there's a variation in the degree of all of them. One is high, one is low, and it's more gentle, more neutral sort of person. Okay, that's the difference. Got it?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, right. So please keep practicing on them. This module works. You can. There are plenty of exercises online, right? So you can go to any of the sites or any of the textbooks that you use or read, take off the exercises from all of them and you can practice them, right? So it doesn't have to be limited to the practice assignments that you have in the course or the ones that we do in the class. There are plenty of them available online. So If you want to practice, please make it a point, but the explanations remain the same. Okay, work on the descriptions and explanations given in the lecture and in the sessions here. And you can work out any exercise that's available online or offline in the books. Okay. But in case you have any problems with the concepts, if you require any conceptual clarity, then you can of course use the live sessions or the other forums to write this. Right? All right, then we'll close for today. If you don't have any more questions, I'll see you again next week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.